A good Erev Shabbos, everyone. Erev Shabbos, Parshas Mitzorah, Erev Shabbos, Shabbos HaGadol. The Torah speaks of the Tara process of the Mitzorah. And Torah tells us that V'shachat es hakeves ha'asham v'lokach hakohen midam ha'asham, and the Kohen takes from the blood of the guilt offering, v'nasan al turuch ozen ha'mitayr ha'yamanis v'albo and yodo ha'yamanis v'albo and raglo ha'yamanis. It says we apply the blood to the ear and to the thumb and to the toe. If you think back just a couple of weeks, we spoke about ears and thumbs and toes. But we spoke about ears and thumbs and toes by the Kohen, by the dedication ceremony of the Kohen. And now we're speaking about ears and thumbs and toes by the Metzorah, by the Metzorah, the one who spoke Lashon Hara. And you have to wonder, you think back to what we spoke about, the whole concept of reminding the Kohen that he has to be about the externals, the extremes. And the same is true by the Mitzorah, that we have to remind him that he has to be thinking about the extremes in Klal Yisrael. That's the reason why he ended up to be a Mitzorah, why he ended up speaking Lashon Hara. Okay, it's great, it's wonderful. But at the end of the day, you have to wonder that why are these the two places where we deal with ears and thumbs and toes? Of all the things, all the ceremonies, everything we do, we have nothing. All of a sudden, in these two places, when it comes to Taras HaMitzorah, to the purity of the Mitzorah, and when it comes to the dedication of the Kohen, we do them exactly the same. I can understand maybe why we do it by the Kohen, makes him something very special. But why are we linking him through the ears and the toes and the thumbs? Why are we linking him to a Mitzorah, to this Metzorah, to the lowest of lows, to the guy who has to stand there and say, Tommy Yikra, I'm Tommy, man, stay away from me, don't talk to me. Why are we linking it to that? What's the connection between the two? So, the Gemara says that a minority of people are susceptible to promiscuity. A majority of people are susceptible to theft. And everybody is susceptible to Lashon Hara. But we know from other Gemaras and other places that ain't Yisra in the Bala Lashon, that the person who speaks Lashon Hara is very different than everybody else. Because lions, they maul their prey and they eat it. Wolves tear apart their prey and they eat them. A snake bites its prey, kills it, harms it, but doesn't eat it. Ein Yusin L'Bala Lashon. The snake is comparable to the Baal Lashon Hara, to the person who speaks Lashon Hara. But the one says it gets no pleasure. If you get no pleasure from it, then what are you doing it for? I can understand why people are susceptible to promiscuity. There's a pleasure. Or people are susceptible to theft. There's a pleasure. But why is everybody in the world susceptible to Lashon Hara when there's no pleasure in Lashon Hara? So the truth is that there is plenty of pleasure in Lashon Hara. Because everybody needs to feel like a something, like a somebody. In the world, we spend our time comparing ourselves to other people. He's not very good at that. I'm much better. He's not particularly smart. Baruch Hashem, I'm smart. The more I can point out other people's shortfalls, and the more I can knock people down, the better I'm feeling about myself. But the truth is, when I knock everybody else down, I might be better than them, but it doesn't make me inherently good. All it does is it makes me better than them. If I'm in a class of people that everybody is very slow, I happen to be the fastest of the slow people. Or I'm on a basketball team. Everybody on the team wouldn't be picked anywhere. I just happen to be the best of all of those. So I'm feeling good about myself. I'm best, but I'm not good. Hasn't made me in any way. Just because I can prove myself to be better than everybody else around me doesn't make me good at what I do. We fool ourselves into thinking that because we're better than others, then we're actually good and we're okay. Instead of investing the time and the energy that it takes to make ourselves actually great. To make ourselves not just better, but to make ourselves great. Usually the biggest Bali Lashon Hara are the people that have the greatest potential, because they have to speak so much Lashon Hara in order to be able to put everybody else down around them, in order to be able to take this cheap way of making themselves feel great. Because there is so much potential there. There is so much ability for themselves to be able to do something with themselves, to be able to actually become something, that the only way that they can be comfortable with themselves is by pushing down everybody and everything around them. And they have to be pretty violent and virulent about it. This is the famous mice I told over very often, because it touches me very deeply. Rabbi Jeff once saw two boys fighting, and he saw a boy push another boy in a ditch. He went over to him and he said to him, "What are you doing? Why'd you push him in a ditch?" And the boy said, "We were fighting about which one of us was taller. I told him I was taller than him. He told me he was taller than me. So I took him and I pushed him in a ditch. And I was now the taller one. I was much bigger than him." So Rizal looked at him and said, "There was a better way to have done that. You could have just stood up on a chair. But that's the harder way. It's easier for me to put you down. It's easier for me to find your faults and to be able to find all of your warts and all of the things that are negative about you, rather than have to look at myself and say, how do I make myself great?" This desire for self-worth, that's what fuels Lashon Hara. That's why I need to speak about other people. I need to point out how off they are, how off the mark, how much they're missing. And everybody has a need to feel fulfilled. That's why everybody speaks Lashon Hara. Not a majority, not a minority, but everybody is susceptible to Lashon Hara. Because everybody needs to feel great. We turn to the Mitzorah, and we tell to the Mitzorah that the Kohen represents greatness. The Kohen represents self-fulfillment. The inaugural process where we take his ears and his thumbs and his toes and we set him apart from everybody else. And we make him into something that's so unique and so special. It's so odd what we do to him, that in Mamish is like putting stars around him. It's accentuating him. It's putting him up in neon, and it's saying that this is a special person. And we turn to the Mitzorah, and we tell the Mitzorah that you also have great potential. Emulate that Kohen and bring that potential to reality, so that you also become a great person. Stop doing it the cheap way. Stop pushing down everybody else around you. Use the Kohen as a model. He's great because he's great. He's great because we recognize that he has incredible potential, because he's born into Kahuna. He has this incredible potential that lives inside of him, and we charge him, bring it out, make yourself into a great person. We say the same thing to you. Use him as your model. The way he makes himself great is not by putting down others, but it's by becoming an Oved Hashem, by becoming one who serves God, one who becomes great in what he does. He's standing on a chair. And we turn to the Mitzorah, stop pushing the people around you into ditches. Stand on a chair. You know, when we left Mitzrayim, we were on the 49th level of impurity. The day we left, we were the lowest we possibly could be. Had we not left at that moment, we never would have gotten out. That day is called Shabbos. Mimachras HaShabbos. We start counting the Sfira from the day after Shabbos. It's not the day after Shabbos, the day after the first day Yontif. Why do we call it a Shabbos? Because it was Yom Shekula Shabbos. It was a day of complete Sabbath. It was a day of miracles, a day where we were holding on a level that was not the 49th level of impurity, but as we walked out of Mitzrayim, we were elevated to this incredible place. And then we would drop down. Mimachas Shabbos, and the day after that incredible day, that day of Lech Techach B'Midbar, where we walked after God in the desert, the day where we were totally loyal to God, we would drop back down to the bottom. And God said, I just put you up on a chair. I just showed you the potential that you have. Now I want you to climb back up on that chair. I want you to spend the next 49 days making yourselves great, but not by putting down other people, but by finding that greatness inside of you. You know, it's a funny thing. We have this custom when I've seen it in a lot of families that when the little kid stands up to say Manishtan, we put him up on a chair. Because we want to give them their 15 minutes. We want them to stand up on a chair. Feel great about yourself. You're not better than your brother or your sister. You say a Manishtan better than them, but here's your moment to stand on a chair, to shine, to be something. And we try to do that to our children at the Seder. We try to build them, make them feel like something. We ask them questions. We get them to tell over what they learned, and we say, wow, that's so great. Because when you feel good about yourself, you can do things, you can accomplish things. You can build a relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom, you can become a beautiful human being. But you got to feel good about yourself. You got to stand up on a chair. We turn to the Rasha. The Rasha is not a real Rasha because he's put in a position next to the Chacham. Chacham is not a tzaddik, therefore the Rasha is not a Rasha. The Chacham is somebody who loves to learn. The Rasha is somebody with an attitude. So the Haggadah says, what do we do with the kid with the attitude? Hake is shinov. You knock him in the teeth. And what do you tell him? If you were in Mitzrayim, you would never have gotten out of Mitzrayim. You would have, if that attitude was in Mitzrayim, that attitude would have kept you stuck inside of Egypt. But you're better than that. That's not who you are. You're a magnificent human being. Haki Yashinov, you knock in his teeth. What that means is take away his argument. Show him that argument is not really him. He's just saying it. He's developed an attitude. It's external. It's not who he is. You think he's magnificent. You think he's something awesome. Put him up on a chair. That's our job. Stand up on a chair. And take everybody else around you and stand them up on a chair. That's the way we cure ourselves of Lashon Hara. That's the way we cure ourselves of so much weakness and so much pain and so much internal suffering. Don't compare yourself to others. Make yourself great by standing up on a chair. Pesach night, we lean. We set the table in a certain way. We have all of our finery out. It's a magnificent night because we have to reach this place called Cherus. What's Cherus? Cherus is when you're standing up on a chair and you recognize, wow, I got something to offer. I got something to give. I can do amazing things. Not any better than anybody else. But I've got the potential to be the greatest me that I could be. Rabbi said we should be Zeicha. To get out of Mitzrayim, not by pushing people down, but by standing up on chairs. This should be the Pesach of redemption. The Pesach that heralds the Geula Shleima. And that finds each and every Jew feeling so amazing about the potential that he has, that it finds every single one of us standing on a chair. The Shana Haba B'Yushalayim HaBenuya. A good Shabbos, everyone.